Kind of funny how the one interesting aspect of J.K. Rowling right now is just her online persona, and it's very little to do with her contributions for the upcoming Harry Potter HBO series. Not salty about that. It wasn't something that I was looking forward to, and with the very interesting casting decisions, immediately tanks any of my anticipation for that. But no. We got to focus on her one big pet project right now, and that is blaming men for all of the shortcomings of women's voting decisions, okay? Oh no, we have to save women once again from the consequences of their own actions by making sure that, the sanctity of womanhood and women's spaces is upheld. Yeah, go to hell after you spent decades trying to infiltrate men's. Consider me, not that terribly plussed about making sure that your sewing circles maintain their dignity, but because that's the only thing to really discuss about Harry Potter, or at least the wider Harry Potter ecosystem, we got some people that were involved in the past, okay, previous actors in the cinematic franchise, and then somebody regarding their upcoming inclusion in the franchise. But first and foremost, we'll talk about David Tennant. And if you don't know, the 10th and regrettably 14th Doctor has been incredibly outspoken about my transgender stuff because, well, his wife's daughter is not really so much a daughter anymore. I forget the way that one ends up working. But yeah, when he's not destroying Doctor Who, he's destroying a young life by reaffirming some really stupid decisions that should be made post-adulthood. But I digress. David Tennant, who is Barty Crouch Jr. in, oh God, what was that? Just in Goblet of Fire? Might have had a cameo somewhere else along the line, but that's for me when the Harry Potter series actually started to get quite good, okay? I've really got to go back and watch those movies because I can't make heads or tails of Prisoner of Azkaban. Like, that whole time turner stuff is really stupid, and there's a couple of other things that, just really stop me from really having good opinions about that. I think the first two movies are garbage, but, the third one, I could be convinced, and maybe a fresh set of eyes and a fresh perspective will really change me on that. But I've always liked Order of the Phoenix. I think that was the first one that I went to the theaters, or it's definitely the first one that I watched that was close enough to the release day where I could see the next one. Okay, Order of the Phoenix, relatively close, but yeah, I went to the midnight releases of Half-Blood Prince and Deathly Hallows 1 and 2. So yeah, I'm a medium-sized Harry Potter fan, even though I'm a lot taller and much more fit than several of the more massive, and I use that for a multiple use in regards to, a lot of the Harry Potter fandom, but I digress. David Tennant wishes J.K. Rowling no ill will, but hopes that she will get out of people's way in the transgender community. Let people be. What do you mean by that, Dave? In a report from The Guardian, Tennant, who starred in 2005's The Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, starred's a bit of a big word, but okay, shared his thoughts about Rowling while answering questions about the author asked by a group of neurodivergent, so a bunch of retards, on ITV's The Assembly. He said, J.K. Rowling is a wonderful author who's created brilliant stories, and I wish her no ill will, but I hope that, as we all can as a society, just let people be, just get out of people's way. It's hilarious how you want to make that statement in regards to somebody else's opinion. But all right. In the same interview, Tennant compared the treatment of transgender people to the current age to the 1988 policy of the UK government that prohibited local authorities from promoting homosexuality. Why would you? Now, here's the thing. Okay, that's kind of weird, but at the same time, promoting any kind of lifestyle, I'm not exactly down with. I could have my opinions about things, but yeah, promoting something like, interesting. He continued, we look back on that now as medieval, absurd thing to try and say, and I think the way the transgender community is being demonized and othered is exactly the same. Right. Well, they're actually doing a pretty good job of demonizing and othering themselves, about 42% of the time. It's become this kind of political football. Not really, because it's a very, very, very vocal minority, and most of the people that are genuinely transgender just kind of go about their lives, and it's like, okay, they don't really care the other way about it, okay, because they're dealing with it the way that they want to, and the rest of them just try to use it for virtue signaling and social points if we're going to keep it a buck. Tennant is not the only Harry Potter actor to distance themselves, yes, from the controversial author, which I have a lot of problems with her. She's a raging leftist and just one of the most open and honest misandrists that are out there. But in the zeitgeist of just regular society, I think that, she's not all that controversial. But anywho, after Rowling released a series of social media posts in 2020 claiming the existence of transgender people erased the lived reality of women. Yeah, it's so funny, but what's the most common transgender person that's out there? All right, that's male to female transgender. And why would that be? Oh, it's because men are generally demonized in society, something that JK makes patently obvious she thinks is the root cause of a lot of issues. But series stars, yes, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint. I didn't know that Ron Weasley there ended up making a statement. I just thought that he generally stayed out of all of this stuff. But okay, cool. So yeah, David Tennant's a raging leftist. He's exceptionally talented. Okay. Like, let's not misconstrue anything, but yeah, even for the bit part that he played in Order of the Phoenix, and of course all of his great work as Doctor Who, can't take that away from him. And so he has a flumpy opinion, but it's not exactly one that I necessarily find out of character for him. But moving and looking into the future, you've got Dumbledore. Okay, one of the many Dumbledores. Not Richard Harris, not Michael Gambon, the one living Dumbledore, which is kind of wild to think about. But John Lithgow, the first American cast for a major role in a Harry Potter product, won't quit the Harry Potter series over J.K. Rowling gender controversies. Why is this a factor? Wow. All right, then. There we go. The ongoing issues between gender activists and I was going to say J.K. Rowling, but Harry Potter, and I mix those two up, won't stop a veteran actor John Lithgow from taking on the role of Dumbledore in the upcoming HBO series. John Lithgow made it clear that outside pressure will not influence his involvement in HBO's upcoming Harry Potter television series. In a new interview with The Times London, the 79-year-old actor addressed the controversy surrounding J.K. Rowling and the backlash he has personally received since signing on to play Professor Albus Dumbledore. Well, let's see. Is it all just about, do you support J.K. Rowling, or is it, I don't know why they have an American actor. Okay, that's kind of interesting because I thought this was supposed to be a quintessentially British story, but all right. Lithgow said he absolutely did not expect the negative reaction from Rowling's critics, but remains unfazed. Of course, it was a big decision because it's probably the last major role I'll play. Oh man, Lithgow explained, it's an 8-year commitment. No, it's a lot longer than 8 years. Yes, it's 7 stories that you want to adapt. But if you think there's going to be just a year-long turnaround and all this stuff, I mean, there's about a 2.5-year gap between the different, seasons of House of the Dragon. Anyways, yeah, 8-year commitment. So I was just thinking about mortality and that this is a very good winding down role. Before officially accepting the role, Lithgow shared that a close friend, a mother of a child who identifies differently than their birth sex, sent an open letter about Rowling titled An Open Letter to John Lithgow. Please walk away from Harry Potter. Ugh, insufferable. John Lithgow described the letter as a canary in the coal mine, revealing the extent of the organized push against projects associated with Rowling. Oh, you didn't know? Well, now you do. Despite receiving the letter and broader criticism, Lithgow was firm and asked if the backlash made him reconsider joining. Oh, heavens no, he replied, questioning why Rowling's views on gender should impact his work. Good for him. I thought, why is this a factor at all? Lithgow noted that he had not yet met Rowling, but expressed curiosity about eventually speaking to her. And holy shit, I did not anticipate that right there. I thought that Warner Brothers executives were touting how closely that JK was going to be working with stuff, and oh yeah, she was going to have veto power, and oh yeah, her input is going to be invaluable. Dumbledore has not met with her yet. That kind of lets you know exactly the type of presence that this is going to have. And if you have any faith that these stories are going to be faithfully adapted, I mean, does that just kind of throw a wrench into the equation? Like, as for fat and useless as George R.R. Martin is, okay, like he'll waddle his dumb ass into a, writer's room for the first couple of seasons maybe, and then bitch about stuff after the fact, the moment that, he just falls out of love with the project and finds a new shiny trinket out there to play with for a minute. Maybe he'll go, start up a restaurant or a fast food gig. Maybe he'll just turn into a McDonald's franchisee. And that'll take up the rest of his time, whatever he can do so he doesn't have to write. But at least, yeah, he'll waddle down and he'll make sure that the story's being set up appropriately, and I like what he does. It's just a shame that, you know, he has the work ethic of a paraplegic sloth. Meanwhile, J.K. Rowling literally doesn't have anything else to do. Like, the rest of her writing fucking sucks a bag of dicks. The only thing that she does is just tweet about turf shit on Twitter all day long. That's the only thing that she does. And she can't even get and meet with one of the most important actors for one of the most important television series, not just for Warner Brothers, not just for HBO, not just for Max, but for defining your legacy. You can't even get that down there to do that. Holy shit. J.K. Rowling, one of the executive producers of the Harry Potter television series, remains actively involved in the project. How active is she? According to HBO CEO Casey Bloys, Rowling has played a significant role in the selection of the show's writers and directors. Bloys confirms that while Rowling's views have generated controversies, they have not affected casting decisions, the hiring of writers, or production efforts. Well, we've seen, okay, cool. And if he can go ahead and take Bloys at his word right there, she signed off on Black Snape. That's all you need to know about that one. And we're still waiting. Like, there's obviously a huge host of cast of characters to still come out, but we don't have word on that trinity. I wouldn't think that HBO would be so bold as to race or gender or do any kind of goofy swaps with Harry Potter. He is going to be a brown-haired, white-skinned, speckle-bedecked young man. But as for Hermione, we've seen liberties taken beforehand, and at this point in time, man, I just think you need to go whole hog and totally drive right off the cliff when it comes to reason and sensibility. Make the Weasleys black. We know that when it comes to Hollywood and big budget adaptations, you love to make gingers obsolete. Do it again. Make the poor family a black family. I fucking dare you. I can't wait for more news on this stuff. This was something arguably I was looking forward to, man. But the more I see from it and the more we hear about everything that has less to do with Harry Potter and more about J.K. Rowling's personal politics, it's just the more that I'm rooting for this to be the disaster we kind of all think it's going to be. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.